Hello, 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 you guys. It's time for a recap. You know what I was doing? So, if you guys joined me for the morning report, then you probably already know I was fixing my camera. I don't know what happened to it, but it keeps on sliding. And it's so crazy how things happen. Like, you fix one thing, then another thing pops up. It's kind of like playing whack a mole sometimes in life, and it can be so damn irritating. So, what did you guys think about last week's episode of Teen Mom Next Chapter? Like, for example, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the episode overall? For me personally, I was blown away by this one particular scene, which was Ryan and a Bentley, and Ryan really taking full accountability and ownership for everything he did wrong as a father. And I thought that, sometimes in life, like, you can't ask for much more, right? Someone did something wrong. They were not there during very crucial years and whatnot. It sucks. It's terrible, but it's happened, right? And so there's nothing else you can do about that, in regards to chastising them or whatever. But, when they take accountability and they pledge to move forward in a more healthy direction, in a more fruitful direction, it's a beautiful thing, I feel like, at the end of the day. And so kudos to Ryan on that. Now, of course, we're going to get to that a little bit later. That's not how the episode started. I just was particularly moved by that part of the episode, is what I had to say. I was just too excited to get it out there. Okay. Now, I don't know if I already asked you guys this or not, but if you were to rate the episode, how would you rate it on a scale of 1 to 10? But in the meantime, let me see who's here for our stream. Okay. We've got Ronnie in the house, Jessica, Caroline, the struggle is real, Star. I'm going to star what you just said, Star. Thank you so much. I'm going to pop back in on that. Paris is a movable feast. Kristen, Team Mom Secret Fan. Lauren, I see so many of you guys have popped back in from the morning report that we were just filming. So it's so nice to have you guys back again. Hello, hello, hello. Ali, Melissa, Princess Tia, Ona, Kahara, Acacia. It's me, Angie, Jaleesa, Monica, Melissa, Team Mom Secret Fan, Ramster, and more. Okay, so I'm really, really happy. We've got a really good crowd over here, you guys. I'm really looking forward to talking about it. So to me personally, just based off of that last scene between Bentley and Ryan alone, I would rate this episode of this week like a 10 out of 10. It was really, really astounding to me. So let's start off at where we were at the very beginning, shall we? With McKenzie with her dirty shoes on the bed, talking about, wondering whether or not she still is a married woman. Attorney told her that she wasn't looking at the proper paperwork. She didn't file the proper paperwork, and she was still technically married to Josh while carrying Cassano's baby. And I believed her attorney, of course, but it turns out that the attorney was wrong. The dog didn't eat McKenzie's homework. There it was in her filing cabinet, in her home, the decree from the judge, signed, sealed, and delivered, announcing that she and Josh were no longer a married couple and that her maiden name, Duthit, had been restored to her as well. So maybe I do owe you a public apology, Dirty Shoe McKenzie. I'm sorry. I thought that you weren't aware. And I really thought that, actually, I thought that she knew and that she was pretending to not know that she was still married. My bad, McKenzie. Now, what about Tennessee? What's going on over there? We've got Macy. And, I do have to say that I think it's really sweet how close she's been trying to get with Ryan's latest baby mama, right? He's on his third. This is Amanda. And so Macy decides to head on over to Amanda's apartment to help her pack things up because Amanda is pregnant, and she brings some boxes and stuff. And, I kind of feel like Macy and Ryan's estranged wife, McKenzie, could have had this kind of a relationship if McKenzie didn't run back to Jen and Larry and cause some sort of friction over there. And if McKenzie didn't blame Macy for Ryan's very obvious addiction, right? And so it's kind of sad to think about what could have been there, but it's cool to see what is in the present with her and Amanda. So she helps her pack up and everything, and talk about what things are going to be like with her and Ryan when the child is born. They do have a daughter together, by the way, you guys. And so at this point, Amanda is feeling a little bit festive because she finally got custody of her son back. Her son was previously in the custody of her father while she was incarcerated and whatnot. And, it's just so crazy how these people on the show, like jail and kids, like it's like the perfect match for these people. And it's really sad for the children, right? At the end of the day. Really, really sad and disappointing to see. But at least she, like Ryan, seems to be making a turnaround for her life. And again, that's all you can really ask for, right? And at a certain point, Amanda makes a comment about Bentley potentially like sleeping over at their house. And Macy was very quick to say, yeah, of course, like he can definitely sleep over whenever you guys want him to. And I was quite surprised about that, to be honest with you guys, right? Because at this point, like, whether or not Ryan is legitimately sober to us as the audience remains to be seen. We see him very often like kind of inebriated with alcohol at the very least, right? And so we don't know if he's changed his heroining addiction for an alcohol addiction or something like that. No clue. So I would be concerned, but she's not. And listen, okay, she sees them more than I do. Okay. And then Amanda, like with everything she's got going on, it's kind of like, to me, if a Janelle, someone who doesn't even have custody of their own child until like a couple minutes ago says, can your child sleep over at my place? No. Right. So I was quite surprised by this. Macy has really, really surprised me. She went from being super duper judgmental, especially to something that doesn't really affect her as much, which is, and this is a long time ago, right? But which is Farrah and her tape and whatnot, and not wanting her son around, someone who would do something like that, to being very much like, yeah, sure, whatever, like so chill and everything. I don't know if it's her having more children versus back when she, only had one child and it's her first child and something. I don't know. Very interesting. Mommy says, Amanda is wild to have a baby with Ryan after seeing his track record. What about her? She just got a kid, custody of her kid. And he's how old? He's like 14 years old or 12 years old or something like that. Like, her track record isn't looking too good. Angie says, it's just nasty and bad manners. Is that the thing about like the bed, the dirty shoes in the bed? That is so filthy. Winnie the Cat says, better late than never. Seems to be more attentive than Janelle Evans. Exactly. And even Amber, which is something that I really wanted to talk about in this recap as well. Marika says, Bentley is so sweet. It would be a hell no for me. Same here. I was really surprised. I thought she would even say like, hey, like I need a little bit more time, like something, but like she just kind of like jumped into it full force, which was very interesting. So Paris is a movable feast. Says Macy and Amber used to be classmates. Maybe they have a deeper bond. And you know what? I think you have a point there. Remember, Amber was one of the people who touched Macy's belly when she was pregnant with Bentley in the 16 and Pregnant trailer that we were watching, right? So they do go way back. Although they were not really close, right? Because Macy's asking questions about her child like she doesn't really know her. Anyway, let's get into Allie and Aaliyah over there in West Virginia, shall we? So the girls are ready to get their learner's permit. And, for Allie, it's a little bit more of a challenge because she does have blindness in one of her eyes. And so they're worried that that's going to stop her from being able to, qualify to be able to drive. And, it's really sad to think about how easy things are for some of us, right? Like when I was getting my learner's permit and whatnot, learning how to drive, like, it never crossed my mind, any of this kind of stuff, right? And so thinking about all the potential roadblocks that could be there for Allie was really, really sad to see for her and for Leah as well. And I feel like being a twin where you have muscular dystrophy and your twin doesn't, it just makes everything all the more difficult because, you're seeing your struggles in real time against someone who is the same age as you and all the milestones that they're hitting that you're not. And it kind of like amplifies them a little bit more for you. So I spent this entire episode hoping and praying that Allie would, at the end of it, be able to get her learner's permit, right? And so Leah, she was talking about the situation with her sister Victoria as well, and just all her anxiety surrounding it, and how she feels like a lot of her relationship with her daughter has kind of been tainted by medical stuff, right? Like always having to be the parent to break some bad news about what's going on medically and whatnot. And I really understood where she was coming from there, and felt her pain when she got super duper emotional about it. And her sister always has been really supportive of her and her family and everything. So it was nice that she was able to have her there with her as well. And you guys remember like when I was talking about this, like in last season or something like that, about like blonde hair turning to brunette hair. I was so fascinated by this scene because I was thinking about like the younger days version of them. They're still young, of course, but like the 16 and Pregnant version, the first few seasons of Teen Mom version, they were both like super, super, super blonde. And now both of their hair is brown. And I find this to be so damn cool. So I was a little bit distracted by that. I'm not even gonna lie. I like their sisterhood, to be honest with you. I think that her sister is a little bit interesting, especially getting knocked up by a random like canoeing instructor, like in a different country or whatever. But nonetheless, she seems to be a very like supportive person of Leah. You don't really see any jealousy going on there or anything like that in their relationship. So I really like the dynamic that they've got going on. Hey, Brandon, nice to see you. Oh, it's Earth Day. Happy Earth Day to you too. Thank you so, so much. And shout out to my friend Julie. My friend Julie just texted me that she's watching. That's so nice, girl. Hey, boo. Winnie the Cat says, Allie has already come so much further than ever imagined. And that's true too. And I would love to see more of that being celebrated, actually, because there were so many worries about even if she would be able to walk or to talk to anything, really, right? Nothing will ever beat that moment we saw her walk when she was so proud of herself, indeed. And it is a very, very, very beautiful thing. I'm really happy for her, where she's going and everything like that. And whenever she gets defensive, I see why she would be that way as well. And you actually get to see a little bit more of that when she goes to the eye doctor for an examination a little bit later as well. Meanwhile, in Los Angeles, we've got Cheyenne's storyline about the fertility issues, right? Just to remind you guys, Cheyenne has two children. She has her daughter, Ryder, who she had with Corey Wharton. And then after Ryder, she had her son, Ace, who she has with her husband, Zach. Okay. And so right now, Zach, he kicked off the season talking about how he really wanted to have another child with Cheyenne. He really wanted to have a daughter so that he could see himself in a girl form, sort of a thing. And so at first, Cheyenne was rather hesitant to it, but then she started coming around to it. But the problem is that when they started trying, it wasn't really working. And so they saw fertility specialist. And at first, the fertility specialist said that there could be something going on with Zach's sperm. They were saying it could be lifestyle, all the weed that he's smoking, maybe change some of the, diet, exercise levels, all that stuff in order to start seeing a change. And so he really started taking care of his health and everything. And so he went back, he got retested. The second time he didn't miss the cup. And what did they find out? They find out, okay, everything is going well with him. But at this point, it might be something going on Cheyenne's side. And so she's been spending the last two episodes kind of talking about the fertility struggles and whatnot. And so she goes out with her friend Zaina to talk about it. Then she comes home, she talks to Zach about it. And Zach tells her, listen, I need you to stop kind of moping over this. Like, I need you to be more optimistic, more positive. This is going to happen. Maybe it's not happening immediately. However, it is going to happen for us, right? So just, stay chill, stay calm, be cool. Don't be all like uncool. And Cheyenne's not happy to hear this. She's like, you know what? It feels like you don't want it as much as I want it. And at this point, I'm like, girl, what are you talking about? This man had to talk you into wanting to have a child. And he's trying to support you despite him really wanting to have the child. He's trying to support you by not putting too much pressure on you, because that doesn't help things, right? All you could do is keep it chill, keep it calm, keep doing what you're doing, right? And then eventually, when it's ready to happen, it'll happen. So I really understood where he was coming from at that point. And I was kind of like, okay, Cheyenne, please chillax a little bit. I got to be honest with you guys. I kind of like fast forwarded the first time that I watched the episode over this scene, because I kind of feel like I want to see more from her storyline, right? Especially because she's got two children. She's got a daughter. She's got a son. She has a child with her ex, but she also has a child with her husband as well, right? Like sometimes people, they only have, they don't have any children. Sometimes people have one child. Maybe their child is with their ex and then they're with someone and they want to have a child with this new person. Maybe they're only having children of one sex. And so they're really trying to have a child of another sex or something, just to, you know what I mean? But I feel like she really has it made. So I'm just, I get that she really, at this point, she wants another one, but I'm like, are you putting this pressure on for yourself? Because you said you were good. You were happy with your body. You didn't want your hormones out of whack. You didn't want to risk postpartum depression, all that stuff, which is perfectly understandable. And then Zach started putting the pressure. Like, are you putting the pressure on yourself on behalf of Zach? Like, I don't know. There's something about the storyline that I'm kind of like, okay, like I kind of want to tiptoe away from it a little bit. And I want to see different sides to what Cheyenne has going on, to be honest with you guys. Cause I don't love the episode. I really, not the episode, sorry, but I don't personally love the storyline that they have going on. If I could be honest with you guys, I hope everything's going well for them. I don't know where they're at right now. I don't know if she's pregnant or not, but, I don't know. Monica says she knew she didn't have the emotional capacity to want another kid, and he's not as supportive as she wants him to be, right? And Team Mom Secret Fan says we all have something. Exactly. Gail says Cheyenne needs to give up for now, then that will happen before you know it. Exactly. Stop putting too much pressure. She will be pregnant. That's what my sister did. All she did was try to get pregnant. Nothing happened. My sister-in-law. So I guess when she chilled out, it happened. Right? Monica says, yes, I want her to have a deeper storyline. I need to see her have dates with her girls, vacation, work life, anything else. Exactly. Cheyenne's got so many exciting things going on. Like she used to have really cool dynamic like storylines before she kind of like doubled down on this one. But hey, I guess it's just the beginning of the season or midway through. I really hope that this can be turned around. Oh God. Speaking of turned around, I guess one of the producers is in charge of rolling Kung Fu Portwood over this episode to wake her up from hibernation. Here she comes. Why the hell did she have a playpen in her bed? Is it to store all of the pills or something like that? I don't know what she had going on there. But she has a playpen and she gets up. Mind you, she doesn't have custody of any of her children, right? Leah, she lives with her father, Gary, and her mother, Christina. And then her son, what is her son's name? James. He lives in California with his father, Andrew, right? And Amber can only ever really see him when she goes to California. So what does she need this playpen for? Very odd. So she gets up, pops some pills, and she claims that she was in bed for 4 months, crashing out because her fiance ghosted her. He ran away from the state, in fact. And then she found out that her daughter wanted to be adopted by her stepmother, Christina. Amber... I can't stand the way she pretends like she really wants to be like, fully involved, and that this is such a slight against her. Amber has never really actually made any real effort to be involved in Leah's life, like deeply involved, like a 50-50 parent or like a, 60-40, not even a 70-30 since she got out of jail. So just the idea that we're supposed to believe that this woman who has been ghosting her child for years on end, who's been talking about, openly talking about how she only sees her child maybe like 3-4 days out of a full summer vacation, which is what, 2 months, 3 months or something like that. We're supposed to believe that she was in bed crashing out because her child that she barely sees wants to be adopted by like the woman who is her real mother. That's crazy to me. I can't. Oh, thank you, Sammy. So apparently that's for her cat or dog. Is that so that it doesn't get like the dirt from like the outside paws in the bed or something like that? Okay, girl. Interesting. So that, it's always about like Amber and how everything is a slight against her and how it's so dramatic. Like, how dare Leah, the person that I do not raise, do not check in on, how dare she want to be adopted by the person who, who's always there for her. And I find that to be very, very annoying. And so before we really get deep into the weeds on what's going on with her over there, we turn over to Allie, who gets her eyes checked out at the optometrist and or the eye doctor. And so I kind of felt bad for her when she was like going through like the chart on like the line by lines of what letters she can actually read, because once she got to like the third row or something like that, that was kind of like it for her. She couldn't really read too much beyond that. And so I got nervous. I was like, oh my God, does this mean that Allie is not going to be able to, to get her learner's permit? Does it mean that she's not able to see enough? Like, is it a danger, or anything like that? And so she started getting really nervous as well. You can tell, because when the eye doctor comes in and asks her like, hey, like, what is your health like? Do you have any health issues? She says no. And then you can like hear a pin drop in the room at this point, because everyone's like, what do you mean no? You have muscular dystrophy, right? And so her mom, Leah, she hated to be the bad guy, right? Like we saw in her conversation with her sister earlier. She's like, Allie, you have muscular dystrophy. Like, what are you talking about? And she just gave her like the mommiest look ever. Like, oh, sorry to like blow up your spot, but it's your doctor. I got to tell the truth, right? Like, this is serious business. We can't just be saying, whatever here. We have to be honest. And the doctor already knows this stuff, right? So even when Leah says it, the doctor is like, yeah, I was just going to say, like, what do you mean now? Like, you have muscular dystrophy. And then poor Allie's face, she was a little bit like, kind of like, damn it, about that. And so it makes me wonder, is this something that she like tries to hide as much as possible? We know she doesn't really like to use her wheelchair at school and whatnot. So is this, it's kind of got those questions going in my mind. Like, how much does she try to hide it? Or is it just the case here because she wants to have the driver's license? And somebody mentioned a little bit earlier in the live chat about how a driver's license really represents independence and whatnot, right? And so, maybe she just didn't want for this to ruin her opportunity. Maybe she felt as though people with muscular dystrophy wouldn't be possible, wouldn't qualify. I don't know, but it was definitely something that I was kind of like wondering about and feeling kind of like, sad for her about. But thankfully, despite the fact that, she couldn't read quite a bit of the chart, and because and despite the fact that she is blind in one eye, or legally blind in one eye, I should say, the doctor says, listen, you've got one good eye and that's all you need. So you are going to be qualified to go ahead and get your, learner's permit. Now it's up to you to just go ahead and pass the test. And so at this point, I'm like, okay, girl, now it's up to you. Go ahead, take the test, ace it, and get your license. I think that this is going to be able to help her a lot throughout life, right? Like anybody else anyway, right? Having a car really, really does help a lot. So now when we get over to Tennessee, there was something that was just so damn cute, which is this scene between Bentley and his new kind of like, what is this, stepbrother? Stepbrother, right? Brandon, Amanda's son. So Amanda's son, he's got the cutest red hair you've ever seen. And he actually looks so much like her. He even has her dimple and her nose and her smile, right? And he is so well behaved. He's got his yes ma'ams, no ma'ams, all of that going on. Very, very, very sweet child. I really liked him. And so then they send him down to the basement with Bentley to take a look because that is where they're all going to be living. And so I didn't hear this the first time that I watched the episode, but the second time, that's what Amanda said. She said, like the basement, y'all, if you have a basement, it's just like this open space, right? Apparently that's like a massive bedroom for everybody, kind of like Love Island style, Big Brother style or something like that, which I found to be quite interesting because when you look at the house, it looked like it was big enough, right? But apparently not. Like there's a bedroom for Amanda and Ryan, the baby, and then everybody else is just down in the basement. I didn't understand it. Did you guys understand the logistics of this house? So let me show you, for example, where everybody else is Stellar, Jagger, Brandon, and Bentley. And we already know that Bentley's not really going to be living here, right? However, I do think, I don't know, like 3, or are there 3 bedrooms down here? Maybe I misunderstood what really was happening here in this kind of a situation. So I'm not sure, but I don't know how I feel about the idea of like a big open space. But anyway, Love Shack says, oh, the tattoo on her bicep, so tacky. I'm still so shocked that she would get something like that, and this is something I mentioned in one of my past recaps about her. So the image you guys see over there on her right bicep, our left is like a woman's mouth open, and then it's her fingers open as well, and she's got her tongue in between her. It's really trashy. And so it's really surprising to me because her personality is so sweet. It's so cute. But then like her online persona, her tattoo persona is kind of like, it's kind of, it's a little thug nasty, like it's okay, girl. Like, why are you doing all that? This doesn't really feel like it's your vibe or anything like that, right? Don't know. Lynn talking back about the Allie scene says that maybe Allie thought the doctor meant like an illness, like the flu or something. You know what? That's fair enough. Maybe that is what she thought that the doctor had said. And she says, I thought Ryan said they had enough room for all the kids. That's what I thought too, right? But maybe I misheard it the second time around, because the second time around, to me, kind of seemed like this big open space was going to be like the children's room or something like that altogether, which wouldn't make sense for a house that big. It was a big house. And now, speaking of the house being so big and so beautiful, how the hell is Ryan able to afford this house? Because right now, Ryan is in the midst of a divorce. We know that Ryan has had to spend lots and lots of money on heroining over the years, right? To feed the monster, to feed his addiction. And on top of that, he's had to pay several fines. He's had to pay for rehab several times. He's had to pay for several lawyers. So how is it that he even has the money for this house? Like, Ryan's finances, I'm very, very, very fascinated about, to be honest with you guys, because you would think that the man would be destitute at this point. But I don't know, maybe it's the parents, the perks of being an only child or something, right? But he's got it. He's got that bread. He's got that paper. Kay Sutton says, I think the basement is more the game room, playroom. Okay, well, maybe that's it. In which case, good for the kids. I know that the boys were talking about having like a potential PlayStation or something like that over there, which I thought was a really, really cute thing. And so again, Amanda's son, Brandon, is one of the most adorable kids ever. And so, when he's having his conversation with Bentley, he's talking about how excited he is to finally get to live with his mom. You see how old this child is, and he's never lived with his mother before? Crazy, right? And then Bentley's like, hey, listen, I'm in a similar boat. So I really like the bonding moment between the two of them. They were both being, very open and honest and vulnerable about the stuff they've gone through with their parents, right? And so Ryan's like, listen, don't worry, me too. Like, I've never actually stayed the night with my dad either, right? And so I thought that was a really sweet moment. And then it gets even more adorable when Amanda's son, Brandon, tells Bentley that he's also looking forward to having a big brother. Oh, be still my beating heart. He looks like a kid straight out of like a Disney movie or something like that. He is just so damn cute. I think he is just adorable. And I would love to see more of him, but I don't know if that's going to be the case or anything like that. Maybe in like a next season or something. But for now, this is like the first time that we've ever got like a really good glimpse of him. Like, we're hearing him talk, seeing him in action and everything like that. But he is absolutely adorable. Amanda's father did a great job on him. I almost said Amanda, but remember, Amanda, she's been locked up, a lot throughout this child's life, or she's been like hooked on something throughout a lot of this child's life. So, the credit wouldn't, unfortunately really go to her on that. So kudos to her dad for really stepping in. And, sometimes, people, family members, whatever, people who are like foster parents or whatever, sometimes people step in, to take care of these children or something like that in situations like this, but they do it kind of like begrudgingly, and they don't pour their heart love into the children, right? But you can tell that a lot of love was poured into Brandon, and you know what? Good for him. He deserves that, all that and more. Very, very sweet little guy. Hey, Sarah. Hey, everybody. Thank y'all so much for tuning in to a live recap of Teen Mom Next Chapter. I am so happy to be able to discuss it with you all. There's a comment here that says, oh, is this Arabic? This is so beautiful. Brandon is so sweet. I almost shed a tear when he told Benny he was excited that me too to have a big brother. He is absolutely adorable. Princess Tia agrees. Angie says, oh, they put his name in case he trashes it, then he still has a place to go. Damn. Oh, Winnie the Cat says, just put the Mufasa song. I always wanted a brother, brother. So damn cute. Honestly, this episode really was the gift that keeps on giving. Y'all already know we are about to get to my favorite scene of all, but for now, I am already very thoroughly enjoying the episode with all that we've been able to see thus far. Sam says, I think having someone to go through these healing moments with, especially as a child, is strong. I agree. And here's the thing. Bentley already had like stepbrothers and step siblings, right? When Ryan was with McKenzie. Well, one stepbrother, Hudson, right? So it's like, okay, well, he bonded with Hudson, and then Hudson kind of got taken away, and then like biological half siblings, are here, and what like. So the biological half siblings are still here, right? And then now you get a new stepbrother to kind of replace the old stepbrother. So like, I feel like he's just got so much going on his own as well. Like, this situation cannot be easy. And, in Brandon's side, I don't know how many siblings or whatever, mom's boyfriend's kids or whatever he's had in his life as well. So I really hope that this is it. Like, Ryan seems to be in a better place. Amanda seems to be in a better place. So I really hope that this is it for them, and that there's no more kind of instability for the children, because they've already been through so much. Kekar says Amber's like one of those boyfriends that only wants you. Exactly. When you start to move on, Teen Mom Secret Fan says, aren't all redheads cute? Absolutely stinking adorable. Let me put his picture back up because he is just too cute for words. Brandon! Winnie the Cat says, can't lie. When Grace was talking about, all I could hear was that song in my head. Oh, yes. Disney, yo, their songs slap so hard. In fact, here in Paris, they have some kind of like thing coming up. I got to talk to my Disney adult friend about this. They have this thing coming up. I saw it on the back of a bus, like the advertisement for it when I was walking down the street. Something about like a show at Disneyland of just like the music, like just all the music over the years. And like, I have a friend who's like a total Disney adult. And so I think he would like that. So I was going to ask him if he wanted to go, with me. Y'all know I haven't really watched a lot of like Disney movies, but I like the music and the soundtracks and stuff. So yeah, very exciting about that. Ramser says, I seem to doze off due to lack of content, but I was up way too early. Isn't that the worst when it kind of like messes with your sleep cycle? Sarah says, I feel like Ryan and Amanda are each other's medicine. I hope they keep up the good work for all the kids' sake and their own. And I agree with that as well. I really, really hope that this is it for the two of them, because so far it really seems to be like, a good relationship for the both of them. And so, yeah. Where are we at now, you guys? Cheyenne. Oh God, Cheyenne in this storyline. Now we got to listen to her at the salon with her mom talking about the same thing. Every time there's like someone on TV just talking about the same thing over and over and over, nothing else going on with their storyline, I think about Portia from the Real Housewives of Atlanta. And like all the girls were like confronting her or each other on something. And she opens up her purse. She's like, listen, I'm going to get some gum. Like, y'all mouth not dry. Talk about the same thing over and over. We get it. You're trying for a baby, but surely there are other things going on in your life as well, Cheyenne. So they go to the nail salon. At least you got a free nail salon out of it. Oh, can I ask you guys a question? And you know what? Speaking of random questions, I have to go back to what Star was telling me earlier. And I did bookmark it. Thank you, Star. What was my question? Oh, yeah. When we were talking earlier about Cheyenne meeting up with her friend Zaina for like lunch or whatever, she was eating she said she wanted a Caesar salad, but instead of the chicken, put salmon on it. Is that like a thing? Because I love Caesar salad. I've only ever eaten it with chicken. I didn't know it could be with salmon. And I love salmon. I don't know. Is that a thing? Like, do you guys like that? Is that good? And then I also noticed that they put strawberries on it. Like, really? Is that a thing? Should I do that? Is it good? Like, it kind of, I don't know if it sounds, I might try it, but I thought that was a little bit odd. Now, let me see what Star had said earlier. So, you guys, I do like my morning show every single weekday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It is called The Morning Report, where we talk about the day's hottest topics, okay, in like Hollywood entertainment. And so at the end of today's episode, I was asking everybody, I was telling people after I do today's Teen Mom recap, I'm going to go to the Indian supply store, buy some amla oil for my hair. And so Star says, amla oil, I like it a lot, not too thick or thin, and my hair absorbs it. But now that I have locks, I prefer coconut oil. Thinner oils are better for low porosity hair. Thank you for the tip. I've heard so much about coconut oil, like even like food-wise, health-wise, and whatnot. Unfortunately, I'm allergic to coconut. Wah, wah, wah. But I'm going to be trying the amla, and we're going to see, if that works for me. Because listen, look at my cornrows. It's not even that they've been in for a long time. It's that my hair is relaxed. And so like straight hair doesn't really do well with cornrows. Like it gets loose very quickly. Ali says, salmon Caesar salad is really good. Is it really? I had never heard of this until I saw her eating that at the restaurant. I said, wow, that is so interesting. Okay, you guys. So since y'all like this, I'm going to give it a try. And Acacia says, one less person, you're going to be foolish. Listen, that's the thing, Cheyenne, because Zach is not an ambitious person, right? So be very, very smart about the decisions that you're making while you are married to this man. Sam says it sounds delicious. Anchovies. I love anchovies in my salads. You know what else I like too? Capers. I have like a bunch of capers in my cupboard. I have lettuce. I have Caesar dressing. I have capers, but I don't have any protein for it yet. I ate my salmon yesterday, so I'm going to go ahead and try that then. Thank you, you guys, for all of these tips. By the way, Emily is saying that the house that Ryan and Amanda are living in is under Jen and Larry's name. So there, I guess maybe that's how they were able to qualify for it with all the nonsense that Ryan has gotten up to. You would think that this man would not be able to qualify for a damn thing by now, especially after the way that he destroyed the last house that his children live in. What a disgusting person. Truly, truly disgusting person. Team Mom says, Secret Fan says fruits with salad is awesome. Ooh, I love a good berry in my salad. Yum, 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 yum. You guys are making me hungry. I haven't eaten all day. I'm gonna have to go and get it. I saw someone say something about Cheyenne that actually reminded me of a screenshot that I had taken. Bree said Cheyenne is annoying. Last season, she didn't want a baby. Now she is crying for one. You know, speaking of Cheyenne being annoying, can we talk about what her mom told her? She said, yeah, Cheyenne, I get it. You want a baby and you're frustrated. But I need you to take a look and be careful about the way that you're expressing your frustration to your husband. Because, and this is something where I go, oh, listen, because I always thought that she had a really lovely family, right? And so when her mom said this, and then they flashed back to Cheyenne verbally abusing Zach in the car when she was pregnant, that was nuts, eh? When they played that, I said, now why would you be speaking that way? Over a little doctor's appointment? Anyway, the mom said, listen, Cheyenne, you take this from your father, which is that you do not know how to deliver a message properly. You know, you could be a little bit harsh and aggressive with your delivery. And so we flash back to her. And this is what I would consider to be verbal abuse, you guys. I wouldn't say that this is her, you know, just casually. No, she was verbally abusing that man. It was disgusting to see. So then I start wondering, I said, oh, is that what her father was like? Is that why she considers this to be a normal way to speak to somebody? Very, very interesting. Very interesting. Honestly, I don't see her having respect for her husband. Right. And to be honest with you, like, I can understand why she might not have respect for him. This is not an ambitious person. She is financially supporting the entire family because this man is not, you know, he wants all these kids, but he doesn't want to work. Right. Like, she had to try and figure out for him like a job fair or something like that to try and like push him to find something to do to make his own damn money. Right. And then on top of her working, making all the money for the family. And it is an expensive lifestyle. Y'all have seen that house. It is an expensive lifestyle that she is shouldering for herself, her two children, and her husband. And the husband is pushing her to have more kids and telling her she's selfish and she doesn't have more of his kids. So I could see why she might not have respect for him, right? But if you do not have respect for a person, do not get into a relationship with that person just to treat them poorly, because this was really, truly, utterly unacceptable. The way that she just berated him in the car back then. Do y'all remember that she blamed it on pregnancy hormones? I don't know. I feel like if you can yell at somebody like that over something as innocuous as them wanting to be present for an appointment for you guys' baby, him wanting to hear the baby's heartbeat for the first time and whatnot, like, that is, I don't know. I don't know. And you were comfortable doing that on camera. I don't, I kind of wonder what you were like with this person off camera. And it does make me a little bit nervous. When the heck do we get back to Amber and her mother, y'all? I'm so bored of all this other stuff, Lord. What else is going on? Here she is. Let's skip on over to Amber. Like I told you guys, I'm not interested in the Cheyenne Zach baby storyline. Sorry to them. Good luck to them, but I'm not interested. Let's go over to the diner, y'all. How I miss diners. This looks like a nice, cozy little local diner with some good, like, pancakes, bacon, hash brown, all this stuff. Amber, she puts on the wonkiest, most gigantic, I'm sorry, but ugly glasses she can find. What the hell is this? And she goes out to eat with her mother, Tanya. And I don't know if you guys were paying close attention, but Tanya was telling Amber, shape up, shape, or ship out. I am sick of the excuses, right? So Amber wants to be the victim because her daughter wants to be adopted by, the woman who has stepped up and been a real mother to her, right? And so, she's like, oh, like, my daughter, like, how could she do this to me? And, she really has gone to this victim route ever since Leah started using her voice to share, like, her truth about, like, how terrible it's been to be Amber Portwood's daughter, right? And it's pathetic. It really is. So anyway, she's talking about this stuff with her mom, and her mom goes off script. And I was rooting for Miss Tanya, honey, rooting for her. Because you know what she says to Kung Fu Portwood? she says, Amber, like, I haven't really seen much progression with you. And so Amber's telling her, come with me to like my psychiatrist or my psychologist. We're going to talk about all the things wrong with me and like why it's not my fault that I'm a deadbeat, right? And her mom's like, okay, like you've got a psychiatrist, but where's the progression, boo? Where is it? I would like to see it. And so Amber says, no, like, it's not like I only have like bipolar. I've got like a series of mental illnesses. Just come. My psychiatrist is going to be explaining it to you. Okay. And so then Tanya comes back and then she says, okay, but like, I still don't understand. Like, where is the progression? Like, what does this really have to do with anything? And so Amber's like, no, don't worry. Just come to my, it's like, okay, girl, whatever. This is why she's only seeing a child psychiatrist, not an actual psychiatrist for a woman of her age of 30 something. Right. And I'm happy. The one thing about Amber, like her mom and her brother, like they speak gently, gentle parent her. Right. So you wouldn't think that they're holding her accountable, but boy, do they ever. Her brother did too, when she was trying to play victim about the same thing a couple episodes ago. The brother said, listen, you're not invited to Leah's birthday, your daughter's birthday, but she's loved. She's got a good father. So we're not going to do the theatrics. That she's okay. Right. And he has been trying to like subtly hold her accountable. And then this week, we haven't seen her mom in a very long time, but the mom literally told her, like, where's the progress? Because I want to talk to your psychiatrist and see why the hell, with all these different medications you're on, you're not changing. You're not stepping up to be the mother that your daughter needs, right? Like, what is this? So I really was proud of her for being able to go ahead and do that. And yes, I'm starving. Maybe that's why I'm starting to speak quickly. I'm like, come on now, let's get some grub. I have like a handful of caramel popcorn staring at me over here on the counter. And that's about it, you guys. So yeah, I was really, really proud of her mom in this moment, because Amber, she does have a tendency to get aggressive with people when she doesn't like people kind of like checking her or whatever. And so yeah, it was nice to see her mom. And yes, Ronnie, it's crazy to see her out of bed. And it is true that this entire season, have we seen her out of bed or out of her house? No, this scene is the first time in the entire season that we see Amber Portwood out of the house. And I find that to be incredible, because how many episodes deep are we at this point, right? Let me see what some of y'all have to say. Acacia says, not her mom clocking her BS. Yup, she sure did. And I loved it. Ashley says it's very clear there's more going on with Amber that she won't admit on camera. Her issues are so deep. It's kind of sad, actually. Agreed. Steady C says, Amber is pathetic. You're 40. Stop making excuses and get it together. Get some actual help. Ooh, damn, shaking the table. Struggle is real says she needs to leave those men alone. She obviously forgets Leah when she's in these horrible relationships. And that is the thing, right? I want for the child psychiatrist to explain to Amber's mother why her bipolar, depression, borderline, all that stuff prevents her from showing up for her daughter. However, it does not prevent her from dating all these men, maintaining multi-year relationships with these men. Has Amber ever missed a date with her boyfriends? Nope. But she always misses out on seeing her daughter. Is it, why is it? Why is it? It was just so like, watching her just really try, like, and when her mom would ask her, to take accountability, because that's what it's all about. And that's why I'm so proud of Ryan. This episode is that he took accountability. That's all we needed from Amber. And she still can't do that. She is the victim. Leah's not the victim. Amber is. How dare Leah be upset at her not showing up for her? She is sick, right? It's crazy. Here's the thing. Ryan's sick too. And yet he is taking accountability. So let's go ahead. Speaking of Ryan, why don't we wrap this up by talking about his conversation with Bentley outside at the new house. Angie says her mom's calling her out and saying she doesn't have any mental issues. She's just crazy. Do what? Her mother knows her better than anyone. Oh, Amber. Love Shack Sarah says mom and Hubby should have clocked her a long time ago. I agree. They've been like, gentle, but I'm happy that they're really starting to like really get in there and hold her accountable. Jess says glad her family isn't falling for the act and are pushing back on her behavior. Amen. We're over it, Amber. We truly are. Hey, gamer girl. Nice to see you. So when we come in, oh, by the way, before we even get to the Ryan story, which is the finale scene, I'm sorry, y'all, but we're back with Cheyenne and Zach. I know. I know, guys. Please, please, please stop the booing. Stop the booing. This is the last time I'm going to talk about them this episode. So we're back with them, and then they talk about how they kind of have bigger fish to fry at this point, more so than having a child, and it's their relationship dynamic. It's gone stale. They want to keep being married and whatnot, but Cheyenne says something that kind of raises my eyebrow, which is that she wants them to go to marital counseling, which ordinarily I think is lovely. However, she says that they need it because she wants to have a good marriage for her kids to be able to say that their parents were in love. And she's not really sure that they can say that right now. Is that why we're, so desperate to have a kid? Is it to fix this kind of like dead dynamic? Is that why we're upgrading our engagement ring a year and a half in? Because we think that it's going to give us the spark we're looking for? Interesting. Very, very interesting. Now, anyway, I'm done with that storyline for now. Now let's get into the Ryan thing. I have to tell you guys again, Ryan's talk with Bentley was absolutely beautiful. It was like something out of a movie. He said all of the right things. He took accountability. He apologized. He told Bentley that he was proud of him as a son and everything. He invited Bentley to come over whenever he wanted to. And there was something that was more beautiful than that, because of course your son should be able to come over whenever he wants to, right? But the way I was mind blown when Ryan Christopher Edwards had the emotional intelligence to tell his son that has never actually stayed the night with him, right? He had the emotional intelligence to tell him, if you're not comfortable coming over to my house, you can tell me. And if you're not comfortable telling me, you could tell your mom and she'll let me know and it'll be no hard feelings, okay? At that point, I was like, oh, I don't think this is just empty platitudes. I think he's for real this time. Ryan might have truly, truly, truly grown up at last. The man's had gray hair for 10 years, y'all. And he has finally earned them. He has. That was crazy. I was not expecting such a poignant scene from him. I was not expecting such intelligence, emotional intelligence, intellectual intelligence. I was just not expecting any of that from Ryan Edwards. It was stunning. It was incredible. I felt like, how sometimes we talk about the Emmys, they should be more reality TV friendly. They started giving it to the Vanderpump Rules cast after the Sandoval and whatnot. I felt like this was a scene that could have earned an Oscar. It could have earned an Emmy. It could have earned so many beautiful things. This was a scene where every word Ryan said to Bentley was so perfect. You would think it were written out of a movie. It was incredible. I think that is something that that Bentley will never, ever, ever forget. That was so important. He needed that apology. It was beautiful. It truly, truly was. Bree says, I thought it was, and yes, he validated Macy. He said, listen, your mom didn't want me around you, and I don't blame her. You shouldn't have been around me. Your stepdad didn't want to be around me. I didn't blame him. I wouldn't want to be around me either. I'm getting along well with him now. It was all my fault. We're going to be in a better place. It was just incredible. And it's wow, Bree says, drugs suck. Is this who we've been robbed of? Is this the real Ryan that drugs took from us? Wow. This is who you could have been this entire time? That's wild. It's wild. Ryan, I am so freaking proud of you. Macy sticking it out with them as well. Everybody here has just been so mature, right? To be able to get to this point for the most important person in this equation, which is Bentley, right? And when the cat says, hey, listen, this is a parent taking the child's feeling into consideration. Shout out to you, Amber, and your droopy glasses. This is what you should be doing. You should be taking accountability for what you've done to Leah instead of crying to your mom and trying to take your mom to your child psychologist so that you could play the victim and act like your daughter wanting to be claimed by somebody because her mom's a deadbeat is slating you. This is what you could have done. This is what you should have done. And you didn't do it. Ryan freaking Edwards did it. The guy who destroyed his family home where his children live. The man that is sick in the head enough to do something as evil as that. We haven't forgotten Ryan. But that fact that that guy is the same guy who had this scene here, wow, I'm shook. I'm really, truly shook. It was incredible. I think that he really is in a good place for real this time, and I don't know what to attribute it to. I think maybe he just got sick and tired of just getting into all the trouble. Maybe he's out of money for all the legal problems that, that come with it. Maybe he's out of money for all the money, that you need to be a rug addict. I don't know. Maybe he's sick and tired of being sick and tired. I don't know. But whatever, maybe it's his relationship. I don't know. But whatever it is, thank God. Thank God. This is who he needs to be. This is who his kids need him to be. This is who the viewers need him to be. Thank God. Whew. Ryan, you're finally here. I hope his family, everybody around him is proud of themselves. He did, y'all. He did. I hope everyone is proud of themselves having to survive that. It must not have been easy. It really must not have been easy. Yep. Same here, Sam. She fought really, really, really hard. So kudos to her as well. The amount of forgiveness that you have to be willing to extend to someone, to be able to reach that point is something that is rather amazing as well. Love Shack Sarah. Love Shack Sarah, whenever I read your username, you know what I think of? Like the love line. I feel like I'm calling into a love hotline. I'm like, Grace, what are you calling into a love hotline? You're doing a live stream, this. Unmute my call. Love Shuck Sarah says, it probably was coached to an extent. I'm sure Ryan has a sponsor. Oh, and talks like this are about making amends and taking accountability and accepting pushback. I can tell this was sincere from Ryan. It felt so mature. I have never seen him be so mature in my life, congratulations to him, and that's the thing, you guys, he's done a lot of really terrible things over the years, right? The stalking and the harassing of McKenzie Standifer, his estranged wife, is in no way, shape, or form acceptable, right? Him missing out on Bentley's crucial years is, unforgivable as well. However, at this point, it looks like he really is committed to being a better father moving forward. And so I think at a certain point, you have to move forward. You have to look forward. And you cannot just hold someone 100% to who they were in the past, right? Especially someone with like a rug addiction or something like that. Because I do think that when people feel like no one believes in them or no one's going to forgive them, this or that, they'll get to the point where they wonder, well, what's the point of any of this progress, right? I'll just turn back, revert to who I was. And that's not something that we want, so kudos to him. Anyway, guys, listen, I'm starving. Maybe I'll go make myself a salmon Caesar salad, see what that's all about. I don't know, y'all. But per usual, thank y'all so much for joining me for another recap of what went down on Teen Mom Next Chapter. Shout out to my playback posse as well. I'm going to be looking forward to reading you guys' comments in the comment section. Enjoyed the live chat. So shout out to you guys. Thank you so much for joining me. And then to those of you in my playback posse, I'm looking forward to reading them over my salmon Caesar salad. Angie says, Ryan's talk with Bentley brought me to tears because that's something that a lot of people needed to hear. Yup, from their dads as kids. But never got to hear, including myself. I'm glad he finally did that. Me too, Angie. And I'm sorry you never got to hear that from your dad. Take care, you guys. And if you enjoyed today's recap, please don't hesitate to go ahead and give it a thumbs up so YouTube knows you enjoyed my content. And I'll see you next time, okay? Bye.